All right, with our lovely Miss Phoenix. So I know I had just mentioned a little bit earlier how we might try and get a little bit of play from this lovely lady. So she's like, oh, stress yawn. So obviously for day number 1, I'm not going to expect too much from any puppy because a lot of times their first day is just getting comfortable. Like we kind of mentioned a little bit in the earlier video. Since this is her first rodeo here, it's a lot to take in. So the fact that she's even orienting back to me and doing some nice take it of the food, we're going to dive into maybe a few other skills. Yes, that might start to help her with even more handler focus, but also start to help her build in some comfort and resilience for when she does sometimes feel a little bit overwhelmed, like you mentioned, with sometimes seeing something or some pup off in the distance. So I did try working a little bit by offering the flirt pole, but she felt it was a little bit, she was a little unsure and a little bit spooked. So I didn't want to force it on her. But I'm going to show it to you guys just in case. Maybe as the weeks progress, she might be interested or she might love it at home where she feels a little bit more comfortable. So I normally do recommend for all the students, and I'll email everybody, is I would recommend to watch all of the pups videos, because even though one pup might be working on one skill, it might be something you're struggling with as well, and then vice versa. But if, let's say, we have a puppy that's a little bit unsure their first day, and we might recommend or discuss certain topics, but she's unable to, let's say, perform the skills at this time, one of the other pups may be rocking it in these videos coming up or in previous videos too. So, excuse me, I should not be drinking seltzer. So let's say, for example, she's off over here sniffing along the wall. There's probably some morsels or crumbs hidden in the cracks. So I'm going to try a little bit with that positive interrupter, which is that Kissy-Noise, and then I would feed her for heading my way. Yes. She's like, I'm slowly making my way. So if, for example, she's a little bit unsure, I'm going to again feed the floor versus going directly to her. So this is again how you make friends with pups, is you don't rush the steps and you don't overwhelm them by just going right at them. So right here, let's say, for example, I'm going to send her away again with a little morsel, and I'm going to see, yes, if when she responds to the Kissy-Noise, if I could then mark that moment where she turns and heads back to me and feed her for that. So the Kissy-Noise can be another great way to build in a check-in with you. View the positive interrupter is a really good way to create connection, but also as opposed to saying whatever you're doing, stop, or that's enough, or whatever, and that might sort of startle them, but not really show them what to do instead. The positive interrupter sounds just as it is. It positively interrupts them by feeding them for doing a check-in. So I'm going to send her away with another little snack. If she didn't see that one, I'll toss another one. So the whole point of this is I send her away to get busy, and then from there, I might go, yes, and I'm going to feed her somewhat nearby. So if this was too spooky, I would maybe not put it quite as close if that was too hard for her. Yeah, nice job. So again, find it. Yes. And I'm going to go ahead and offer it right about there. Gorgeous. Smart girl. Smart girl. Ready? Find it. So in 2, she does have her new wild men students that are off in the distance doing their thing. They are in their little suites, like I mentioned earlier, but they are a little chatty today. Maybe all the wild men would rather come out and wrestle again, because they do all know each other, technically, the gentlemen. So they probably would rather just be playing instead. So right here, yes. Though it is technically a pretty good distraction for our gorgeous gal, because I know you said that sometimes other dogs do distract her and she has a hard time coming back from it. So right here, she's been doing a really nice job. She'll like hear one of the boys go woo woo, and then from there, I'm able to do the little Kissy-Noise and have her come check back in. Ready? Do a little find it. 2 of these find its can also be the beginning of getting some of these lovely recalls, and then also loose leash walking for down the road. So a lot of the behavior will build on itself. So it can be very helpful. Ready? She's like thinking about it. She's getting very tired. She's like, it has been already a very long morning. So, but don't worry, she's doing amazing for her first day. There have been many of other puppies as well, or technically adult dogs, who have come to this program for the first time, and it does take them the first few, comfortable moments of getting in the groove of the program. Nice. So, but the fact that she's taking food means that she's still also comfortable enough to retain some of the information and also work some skills. If she was taking no food, then that means she's not as comfortable and she wouldn't either be learning or retaining or able to work those new dynamics. She's like, those wild men are crazy. Ready? Find it. Nice. What a good girl. Ready? We'll do another little find it. So I wanted to show you the flirt pole, and I'll maybe demonstrate the flirt pole with one of the other puppies just in case if you've never seen it. So there's all different varieties, but the reason play can be so beneficial, and I have dived into this in a few other previous videos with some other of the pups from the day school, but don't worry. You can, again, just watch your content if that's easier, whatever feels comfortable. So this is very much so, almost looks like a giant cat toy, like again, like one of the little wands with the critter at the end. So the way this one would work is I typically would keep it nice and low, let her get comfortable with it. She may not like it. Some puppies don't like it if it's somebody else's toy. They prefer just their own things. So for some pups, having their own flirt pole is a very big difference compared to using somebody else's. One of my boys really loves just his, and even though I might have other varieties, he only loves to target the one that's been his that he's practiced with. So when I have to get a new attachment at the end because it's finally had its day, we have to sort of relearn how to use that one versus his previous one. So this one, for example, if you were to play with her, you don't want to lift the toy up high in the sky because then she might jump and grab for it and she could hurt herself. You also want to have good traction. So if you're doing this in the home because she is a smaller lady, I would recommend to do it on carpet where she has more ability to not slip and slide. Nice job. What a smart girl checking it out. She's like, I'm slightly intrigued. So the way this bad boy would work is in the beginning, I would, for example, keep it low especially, but then you would want to move it and make swooshing sort of patterns. So if let's say she's never really played with it, I might keep it low and just see if I can wiggle it. She may not be toy driven today. And again, it's a lot of pressure to do all these new things the very first day. But for some of them, you add in some movement and you try that at home, she might love it. So this is a great way to work some of that wanting to chase other critters. Or for example, if she gets really excited seeing, for example, things that move, this could be another great way to build in grabbing and biting and chasing an appropriate item versus going for something she shouldn't. She's like, guys, the building makes funny noises. So sometimes when the AC pops on and off, as it heats up a little bit on the roof again with the sun, it makes cracking sounds. So you can't always pick it up on the mic, but they definitely do hear it. Nice. Ready? What a smart girl. So maybe what we can try is a little bit with just a few pattern games for her. So pattern games, I do tend to love them. They're really beneficial for any babe. So it doesn't have to be a dog that's struggling with a big emotion or anxiety. They're great for everybody. So one of my favorites is called the up-down game. Oh my gosh, chew them, ma'am. She's like, chewing's for losers. That's what the boys told me. So notice how she's doing some really nice check-ins. With this up-down game, it doesn't mean to lie down or to get down. It just means that when she looks up at you, you put the food down on the floor and you start the exercise again. So the way this would start, and if let's say me bending over is creepy, but she doesn't mind it when you do it, the way this would actually look is your puppy would be in front of you. You would place the food on the floor to start, and then you're waiting for your babe to then lock eyes with you. Yes. And then you feed the floor once again. So if she were to be looking at my arms or my hand, yes, or the treat pouch, then what I would end up doing is put my hands behind my back. So if let's say for pretend she was staring at my hands and not my actual eyeballs, then that's where putting the hands out of range, yes, could be very helpful. What a smart girl. So this starts to build up a puppy, yes, that starts to look up at you on their own versus being cued to look at you. The building, again, making funny noises. She's very, very observant and obviously with her ears as well, like a little cute little bat, hears everything. So right now, like I think my neighbors are also moving some equipment around, so she hears that next door. So if, let's say, for example, she were to get a little bit unsure about something, we could take a break from what we were doing, and I might go right into a nice big little find it here for her. So the reason I prefer to feed the floor at times is that if, for example, your puppy is getting frazzled or overwhelmed, if your babe is busy foraging or scavenging for food on the floor, they can't be scanning the horizon and barking or lunging to see what that thing was. It can also be a great way to almost make it where, like, let's say she noticed the weird noises from my neighbor, and all of a sudden, because of the weird noises, here came a wonderful, gigantic piñata full of snacks, and it broke open. And you were able to go and pick them all up. So it can help to create a good association with that novelty that otherwise would have felt really scary or silly or not at all beneficial. So we do want to be careful, though, if we're just instantly doing scary things and pairing it with food, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, it's not going to be really changing her opinion because it's too spooky to care about the food, or the food could be the bringer of the bad. So if she ever gets apprehensive, oh, I dropped one. She's like, find that one later. Ready? Find it. So if she ever were to get nervous or a little overwhelmed, remember that you can't reinforce fear. So if, let's say, for example, she was overwhelmed and she was grumbling and feeling nervous and was doing a little bit of barking, if you go into a little find it, you're not feeding for the grumble or the bark. You're actually helping your puppy go from I'm feeling overwhelmed to let's go do this instead. So just as if my small human child, let's say my little one who is 5 now, but let's say she fell and she scraped her knee and she's crying. And if I go and comfort her and pick her up and say, oh my gosh, are you okay? Would you like a Band-Aid? Can mama give you a hug? How about a snack? Am I feeding her or praising her for falling and for crying? No. I'm trying to comfort her so she can feel better, that even though maybe something scary did happen, nothing bad is going to continue to happen, and I'm there for help. So she's like, those wild men are singing again. I think they're just singing all together. Ready? So if, for example, me reinforcing fear for my child for falling, that's not accurate because fear is involuntary. So if, for example, you were to startle, I can't get mad at you for startling because that's a natural response to something that overwhelmed you. So this is where for, oh my goodness, chewing. So for our gorgeous gal, if you don't love what she's doing, think, what would I prefer or what would I rather have her do? And then that can be really helpful. She's like, lady, I'm exhausted. You want to do a little find it? So again, don't worry if her first day, she was a little bit unsure with the wild gentleman, but then also the fact that this is brand new for her and there's a lot going on. She may find this to be a little bit much for her very first day, but I think she's going to get there with a little bit more practice. And we'll see what these wild gentlemen want to do. Maybe they need to go out for a little potty break and they're all decided they want to go at the same time, which can happen. Nice job, cutie. So we'll dive into some more of these tricks and skills and pattern games. But maybe what we'll do is we'll give her a little potty break so she can go out and enjoy the sunshine, go for a little pee, and then we'll do a few more skills. But I love the fact that she's orienting back to me, even from the wild gentleman doing a few little singing moments too, where they want to come out and do some more practice. But Miss Phoenix is doing a very nice job. So we'll give this gorgeous gal a little breather and we'll rotate through some more fun stuff.